Tesla just released Project Highland. It was officially confirmed to be a real leak, and in my opinion, this is just the perfect mixture between design, efficiency, affordability, luxury. Like, some Teslas emphasize one thing over the other, but in my opinion, this is like the only Tesla worth buying at this point. But that's gonna be a little bit complicated if you're in the North American market right now, because it's not yet available to order. But I'll get into more of that later. I just want to focus on right now all of the incredible changes they've made to the exterior and the interior. But let's start with the outside. We got two new color options. Ultra Red brought over for the Model S and X. That is amazing. I love that color. It also looks way better in person, so I encourage you to check them out at a store if you can. And also a new color called Stealth Gray, which seems to have a little bit more of a blue tint to it. Overall, I dig it though. I still prefer Quicksilver, but this isn't bad at all. And they redesigned both the front and back of the vehicle quite a bit. So you have this more sleek lower profile, no more having those fog lamps on the bottom with those side little air intakes, and thankfully this appears to help on efficiency by quite a bit. The range estimates are supposed to be 5 to 8% better than what they were getting before, and now's probably a good time to mention they did not change anything with the battery pack or the motors. Same exact motors as before, same exact battery chemistries, which is maybe a bit of a downside if some of you were hoping for some breakthrough with energy density or hoping for some new lithium iron manganese phosphate. This doesn't have any of that as of right now, but they've also updated the back design as well with these updated brake lights. I'm so thankful they didn't go forward with the light bar. I feel like everybody has to have a light bar these days, and the Model 3 found a way to update its design language, now spelling out Tesla across the back instead of just having that simple minimal Tesla T, and having the diffuser come up a lot more on the bumper, covering up those fog lamps, kind of rivaling the Model Y tail design as well. And the headlights are certainly a lot sleeker. It's not necessarily, in my opinion, the most beautiful design. Maybe I need to get comfortable with it, but personally, I'm willing to compromise a little bit on aesthetics if it allows for better efficiency, which still blows my mind with this vehicle because the range estimates getting a 5 to 8% push should result in the rear-wheel drive Model 3, you know, with the lithium iron phosphate battery pack, getting close to 300 miles of range. Probably on the EPA test cycle, it's going to be around 290. On the European test cycle, where it's available right now, they said that it's like 305 mile range, but theirs is overly generous. I don't think you're going to actually get that, but getting close to 300 means that it should be easier now with this updated design language to actually hit 5 miles per kilowatt hour more consistently, which occasionally I can do on my car, but it's not most drives. But this one might be getting to that point where like half of your drives are 5 miles per kilowatt hour, which is great. As a huge fan of efficiency, I can get behind this design. Once I understand the motivation behind a design change, I start to fall in love with it more, and even just after the first couple hours of seeing it on the website and seeing it in media images, I'm already starting to like it a lot more, which is great. They also updated the tire options to have a bit more cushion and reduce road noise. Some kind of Tesla specific design tire that, just like before, comes in the 18-inch and 19-inch sizes, and in my opinion, both of these wheel designs look a heck of a lot better than the previous wheel designs. Never was a big fan of those 19-inch sport wheels, and I feel like the 18-inch rims, they found a way to make them look a bit more stealthy and aggressive than before, which is awesome. But okay, that's enough with the exterior. Let's focus on where most of the very noticeable changes are, the interior. So for one, they slimmed down on the bezels with that center display and added this beautiful ambient light strip across the front, and it even goes back into the passenger doors. Even for the backseat passengers, cool, and it's a customizable light strip. You can change it to whatever color you want. My guess is that light by default matches the exterior color of the car, which is kind of amazing. It kind of makes it look like it's interior, you know, stitching that goes along with the updated trim. But of course, it's an ambient light strip, so it changes colors based on what you want it to be. So that's really cool. The gear stocks are gone. They basically brought over the same kind of steering wheel we've seen in the Model S or X, but they have moved the horn into the center, so you don't have to fumble around for a capacitive button to honk the horn. Thank you, Tesla, for not bringing that feature over from the Model S and X. Also, no signs of a yoke option, so I'm sorry if you wanted a yoke, but they even updated the air conditioning controls. So before, there wasn't really a way to turn off the passenger air vents. Now you can individually changed them, and they updated the center console to include a lot more metal materials so it feels a bit more luxurious and premium. It looks a little asymmetrical to me, but similar to the newer Model S and X, you now have like a hideable cup holder section, so you can choose to show the cup holders or get rid of them if you want to. And I didn't get a good look in the CarWow video that announced this whole thing. I'm not sure if they still have USB-C ports in that primary center console, but they did showcase a higher powered USB-C port in the center armrest if you open that up, and now they're saying that's a 65 watt USB-C port, which should easily power and charge a lot of MacBook Pros. The current USB-C ports in my Model 3 are capped out at about 30 watts, so I don't know if they replaced the two that used to be able to do 30 watts with just one that can do 65, or if this 65 watt port is in addition to those 30 watt USB-C ports. I haven't seen a great breakdown showcasing the differences between them, but still, I would personally rather have one port that could do 65 watts. It's very unlikely that you're gonna have two people with MacBooks both trying to charge them simultaneously, so just have one port with high power. Either one of those scenarios is great, and I'm excited for that. They've also said that this center display is the same size as before, but that it's brighter and more responsive. Even though in that CarWow video they said that it's the same CPU as before, so I don't think they added a special GPU to bring, you know, PS5 style gaming, but I'm trying to figure out what they mean by more responsive. I'm hoping that means higher frame rate, because if the Model 3 got 120 hertz on that display, that would be amazing. That definitely improves responsiveness, that's how I would describe it, and makes it feel a lot more futuristic, which is great. I should also mention on that subject of the computers, this kind of affects the exterior, but not super noticeably, is that the Model 3 probably has hardware 4 with this design, and on the configurator we can actually see a bumper camera on the outside now as well. We knew that the hardware 4 computer had plugins for additional cameras, but a lot of Teslas that had hardware 4 didn't have the bumper camera, other than of course the Cybertruck. But now it appears that this updated Model 3 likely has that bumper camera, which is really cool. Probably gonna help a lot with park assist, as well as just improving the overall performance of full self-driving. And they've updated the sound system as well. Now they've got 17 speakers in total, which they used to just have 14. We can see an additional speaker on that crossbar over the roof. And something that we've been asking for a very long time that Tesla has finally implemented in this refresh: ventilated seats. At least on the front passengers, they actually get actively cooled seats now, but they're still perforated seats on the second row. They're just not actively cooled, but I assume they're still heated. But honestly, that was a huge reason I had a lot of interest in going forward with a Model S or X in the future, was just I really love the concept of ventilated seats, and I really wanted them to bring that to the Model 3, so I'm very thankful that they've actually done that. Like, yes! But even though that second row won't get the active cooled seats, they do get their own dedicated display now, just like the Model S or X. It's an 8-inch screen that allows you to control your heated seats and even watch Netflix and YouTube back there. Have a whole separate control system for the people in the back. No more having to ask the front seat passengers, hey, can you turn on my heated seat, or can you turn it off, please? Now they can control it for themselves. That's the way it ought to be. And they appear to have a bit more shoulder support, like the overall shape of the seats looks a little bit different than the current design. And on top of all of this, Tesla has also updated the suspension and wind noise amount. So before, we just had dual pane glass on the front windows and the windshield, but now they've brought that dual pane glass to the back windows and the rear glass as well, which they say improves the wind noise by 30%, and the suspension should be improved for better ride comfort and overall less bumpiness. Although it's still a coil suspension system, they didn't make the switch to air suspension. But on top of all of that, they've also improved the Wi-Fi connectivity. I don't know what that means. I assume it means they put like Wi-Fi 6E or something in there. And they've improved the Bluetooth range as well as the microphone quality. This is just seriously like almost no stone unturned in terms of a refresh. Really cool to see all of these changes. And of course, I'm sure a lot of you are thinking, this is all great, this is amazing, how can I get one? Well, the configurator is only available right now in China and Europe. And CarWow mentioned that in the European Union, they're going to be launching the Highland Model 3 in October, but the United Kingdom is going to have to wait until next year, unfortunately. And at least right now, the configurator for this updated Model 3 is not showing up for the US market or the Canadian market or Mexico, which makes me wonder how much longer we're going to have to wait until Fremont is actually going to be cranking out these updated Model 3s. We know they've been testing them around Fremont all the time, so it's definitely not like the type of thing that I think is just going to be exclusive to Asia and Europe. Clearly, in my opinion, these are all being built at Giga Shanghai. They're just importing them into Europe. I don't think these are being built built at Giga Berlin. Personally, I think we would have known about that, and Giga Berlin has been focusing just on Model Y production. And there's sources and rumors telling me that the US is actually not going to get this refresh until 2024. Maybe Tesla's doing that for the sake of model lineup consistency, like just being able to say, this is the 2024 Model 3, and this is the 2023 Model 3, and not having too much confusion between the two. But overall, the launch and release of this vehicle is by far the most confusing. Like, we all found out about it through a CarWow video. It was not through a Tesla press release. It was through like random news articles, and like an hour after those videos dropped and those news articles dropped, then Tesla updated the configurator for certain markets. But yeah, now I think if they were really trying to get people to buy the old-fashioned Model 3, you know, the 2023 version in the US, this is a surefire way to Osborne yourself. Like, I'm kind of shocked that they were comfortable launching it kind of staggered like this, because who the heck is going to want to buy a brand new Model 3 that they know is about to be ruled out as like, oh, this is the dated design, and they know the 2024 version is probably coming to the US imminently. I don't know if everybody's going to be aware that it might not be till 2024 for us, but still, this Model 3, not only does it steal a lot of the thunder away from the Model Y, because the Model Y is going to have the dated headlight design, the dated interior design, probably even the dated suspension, and at least the current Model Ys don't have the bumper camera, they don't have the updated taillight design either, they don't have the ventilated seats, and at least in the markets where this Model 3 refresh is available, the Model 3 is supposed to still be cheaper than the Model Y. So there's so many reasons now to not go with a Model Y and just go with the Model 3, because you get the great efficiency, the great range, the updated design language, and the more luxurious interior. But on top of that, I feel like not only does this cannibalize the US market, because now everybody's going to want to wait until their ideal Tesla gets all of these features, but you also kind of eat into the sales of the Model S or X. Like, a lot of the advantages by going with a Model S and X have been taken away now that the Model 3 has become so much more luxurious. I guess the main advantages of the Model S are air suspension. I guess it's a hatchback, and it's faster. You know, it's got a dual motor powertrain or a tri-motor powertrain, so there's a bit more of a performance emphasis on the Model S, I guess. But even the long-range Model 3 is still able to do 0 to 60 in about 4 seconds, which is plenty fast, I think, for most people. But that is an interesting point to note about this Highland refresh, which is that it's only available for the rear-wheel drive and long-range options. They did not offer a refresh for the performance model, which makes me wonder, is the Model S just going to take over the higher performance demographic, and is the Model 3 just going to focus on rear-wheel drive and long-range, and that's that? I still genuinely want to know what the pricing is going to be like in the US, because at least according to CarWow, the pricing should stay about the same. You know, I'm sure there was some cost-cutting advantages of updating the interior, scrapping a few parts, but I'm also sure a lot of this has to cost more, right? Like the perforated seats, that definitely cost more. Active cooling seats, and the ambient light strip, and the updated display. You know, there's definitely parts of this that are going to cost more. So if anything, it's like a break even. Like, it shouldn't cost that much more, but I feel like Tesla prices their vehicles according to supply and demand, and when the 2024 Model 3 hits US streets, there's going to be a ton of demand for that, because like I said in this video already, this is the best Tesla you can buy, in my opinion. Like, the price is actually lower than pretty much any other Tesla. The luxury features are there, the ride comfort is there, and the range is there. Like, the long-range Model 3, if that gets an 8% range increase, we're talking easily surpassing 350 miles of estimated range by the EPA. The European test cycle says it's like a 420 mile range, and of course you still got the amazing charge network. So yeah, this is definitely, I think, going to have an effect on all of Tesla's models. This is not just something for, oh, I guess if you like the Model 3, here's some cool stuff for you. It's like, well, now everybody's gonna believe that Project Jupiter is real. Everyone's gonna want to wait until the Model Y gains all of these features, because the Model Y just feels incredibly dated now. And the Model S and X are like twice the price for offering barely any advantages. I guess the Model S and X gives you a driver display, a slightly larger center display that can swivel back and forth, but is that worth paying twice the price of the vehicle? In my opinion, no, definitely not. Model 3's got the better horn design, and the capacitive buttons look different too. Like, of course, they've got the wiper button, the blinker buttons, but they also have what appears to be a camera button, but I haven't seen any videos showcasing what that camera button on the wheel does. I'm guessing that brings up the backup camera, or maybe it brings up the blind spot cameras or something. But the Model 3 still has side view mirrors, so I don't think they're planning on scrapping that, even though they could legally in Europe. So yeah, this launch is frankly a lot sooner than I unexpected, and I'm curious how much of an effect it's going to have on their current day vehicles. And I would not be surprised at all if you're not that into the refreshed and you're like, oh no, I want the gear stocks, I don't like the new front design, and I don't care about the extra range. Well, the good news is for the next couple months, Tesla is probably going to start offering some severe incentives for everybody to buy the more dated Model 3. If you just wait a little bit longer, my guess is they're going to start offering a year of free supercharging, and if inventory continues to climb up for the old-fashioned Model 3, I bet they might start even doing more than that. They'll be doing price cuts, saying, please, please buy this dated Model 3, and then also being like, okay, maybe 2 years or 3 years of free unlimited supercharging just to get more and more people to clear out of this old inventory so that they can make way for the new 2024 Model 3. But overall, I couldn't be happier. Like, I am so thankful that Tesla has found a way to keep the value of their products while make them far much more luxurious and eye-catching and efficient. And I'm such just a huge sedan fan at the end of the day that I personally think this is the best sedan you can buy, and more specifically, it's the best Tesla you can buy as well. And I'm super jealous for the people in China that can buy this next month. Same thing for people in Europe. Like, you guys are so lucky that you're gonna be able to access this thing in basically a month from now, which is awesome. And I just hope you guys are as excited and as happy with all of the changes Tesla has made, because this is just a knock out of the park update, and I could easily see this one lasting them for a very, very long time. But I do think there's gonna be a ton of demand for it, and they may price it accordingly. If the wait times get too long, they'll probably start upping the pricing, and this can be kind of their in-between compromise between the old Model 3 and the existing Model S, which they seem to be having a hard time finding buyers for. That's why they were offering the standard range options and stuff, but meeting in the middle with like a reasonably affordable Model 3 with some luxury features that still qualifies for the federal tax credit. Yeah, like, this is genius on their part. Honestly, I feel like the likelihood of the Model S getting discontinued in the future just went up a little bit. It'll all just depend on the demand, I guess. But what are your favorite changes and updates with the Model 3? Feel free to let me know down in the comments below. And thank you to everybody supporting this channel directly. Seriously, helps us out a ton, as does just watching these videos. So thanks again. Have an excellent rest of your day.